Music, the greatest mistake people make in relationships is believing that attraction is something you create outside of yourself. In truth, attraction is not built in the other person's mind. It is awakened through the energy you carry in your own body, your breath, and the quiet discipline of your emotions. When you understand this, you realize it is not about making someone chase you. It is about living in such a way that their natural response is to move closer. Attraction begins with inner stillness. This truth may sound simple, yet when examined more deeply, it reveals one of the most overlooked foundations of human relationships. We live in a world where many people try to gain attention through noise, through constant activity, or through displays of confidence that are often superficial. Yet the essence of true attraction is not found in what is loud, but in what is calm. Consider the difference between a rushing river and a still lake. The river draws attention because of its movement and noise, but the still lake holds something more powerful. It draws you inward. You want to stop and gaze at its surface. You feel yourself becoming quiet just by being in its presence. Similarly, a person who carries inner stillness does not need to demand attention. Their calmness becomes an unspoken invitation for others to pause, to feel, and to lean in closer. This inner stillness is not to be confused with silence or passivity. Stillness is not the absence of energy. It is the presence of contained and grounded energy. When someone enters a room with a chaotic mind, their nervous system is agitated. Their eyes dart around. Their breathing is shallow. People pick up on this often unconsciously and feel unsettled in their presence. On the other hand, when someone enters with a centered presence, a composed mind, and a body that reflects steadiness, they radiate a kind of safety and quiet power. This is deeply attractive because human beings, whether they realize it or not, are always searching for environments and individuals who bring them into balance. A still mind and a still body act as a magnet because they promise harmony in a world that often feels overwhelming. In relationships, this truth manifests in subtle but significant ways. Imagine two scenarios. In the first, someone goes on a date and constantly tries to impress, talking too fast, oversharing details, laughing loudly, and seeking constant validation from the other person's reactions. Their energy is restless, and instead of creating attraction, it creates fatigue. In the second scenario, someone arrives with calm curiosity. They listen attentively. They allow pauses in conversation. They smile softly without forcing, and their body language communicates ease. Instead of chasing attention, they create a space where attention naturally flows toward them. Which of these two do you think feels more magnetic? The answer is clear because attraction is not about how much noise you make. It is about how safe and inspired people feel in your presence. From the perspective of psychology, this can be explained by the principle of emotional contagion. Research has shown that human beings mirror the emotional states of those around them. If you are anxious, your partner will begin to feel anxious. If you are calm, they begin to settle. This means that your inner world does not stay inside. It spills outward into the nervous systems of others. People are drawn to those who regulate their own emotions because such individuals unconsciously regulate the emotions of everyone they interact with. In the context of romantic attraction, this becomes even more powerful. When a man meets a woman whose inner stillness can calm his own nervous system, he feels something rare. He feels at home. It is precisely this feeling that makes him want to move closer, to chase, to invest more deeply. From physiology, the role of stillness is equally compelling. The nervous system operates in two main modes. The sympathetic system, which is about fight or flight, and the parasympathetic system, which is about rest and digest. Most people today live in a state of constant sympathetic activation, stress, urgency, overthinking. When someone embodies stillness, their body broadcasts signals of parasympathetic dominance, slower breath, relaxed posture, softer gaze. These cues are not only felt emotionally, but also recognized physiologically by others. They indicate safety, and safety is one of the most magnetic experiences a person can offer. We often think attraction comes from excitement alone. But the deeper and more sustainable form of attraction comes from the sense that with this person I can breathe. The Eastern philosophy offers another lens. In Taoist thought, the still water is considered more powerful than the rushing stream because it reflects without distortion. In the same way, a still person reflects the truth of others without adding chaos. This is why many people find themselves opening up to those who are calm and centered. They feel seen without judgment. They feel mirrored without interference. In relationships, this quality becomes a quiet strength. When you do not react impulsively, you create room for genuine connection. It is important to remember that stillness does not mean lack of emotion. It means discipline over emotion. Imagine being in a heated conversation where your partner is upset. If you match their agitation with your own, the situation escalates. But if you hold stillness, your voice steady, your breath slow, you give them space to settle. This act alone is not only wise, it is deeply attractive. It communicates that you are not easily shaken, that your presence can be relied upon, and that you hold a strength greater than reactive impulses. Over time, this quality makes people value you in ways that beauty, charm, or intelligence alone cannot achieve. And so the first principle that attraction begins with inner stillness becomes a doorway to the next truth. Energy speaks louder than words. We often think people listen primarily to what we say, but countless studies in communication show that words make up only a fraction of the message. Tone of voice, body language, rhythm of speech, and energetic presence carry far more weight. This is why someone can say the right words and yet feel unconvincing, while another says very little but leaves a lasting impression. Attraction lives in this unspoken layer of energy, not in the verbal content alone. Consider the difference between someone saying, "I'm happy to see you," with a rushed tone, eyes distracted, and restless gestures, versus someone saying the same words with soft eyes, a gentle smile, and a presence that makes you feel they are fully here. The words are identical, but the energy is entirely different. Which one do you trust? Which one do you want to spend more time with? This is the essence of energy speaking louder than words. Energy cannot be faked for long because it is not about technique, but about inner state. When your inner world is scattered, your energy leaks. People sense this. They may not articulate it, but they feel something unsettled. On the other hand, when your inner world is grounded, your energy radiates coherence. Coherence means that your words, your body, and your emotions are aligned. This coherence is what makes others believe you, feel you, and want to be around you. In relationships, this is critical. A man is not only responding to what you say, he is responding to the energy underneath your words. If you say, "I'm fine," while your energy carries tension, he feels the tension more than the words. If you express interest but your energy is desperate, he feels the desperation more than the interest. Attraction deepens not when you master phrases or strategies, but when you master your energy. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate this mastery is through awareness of physiology. Breath is the gateway. When you breathe shallowly, your voice tightens, your eyes lose softness, and your body contracts. When you breathe it deeply and steadily, your voice relaxes, your eyes soften, and your body expands. The difference is profound and others feel it immediately. This is why ancient practices of meditation, martial arts, and yoga emphasize breath, not as a mere exercise, but as a way of aligning inner energy so that it radiates outward in harmony. Another element is posture. A slouched posture communicates insecurity, not because of the shape itself, but because of the energy it signals. Close, protective, defensive, and upright posture communicates openness and strength again, not because of the shape alone, but because of the energy behind it, stable, grounded, receptive. These physical cues are read instinctively by others, often in milliseconds, and influence attraction before words are even spoken. Eastern traditions describe this as key. the life force energy that flows through the body. When your energy is blocked through stress, unresolved emotions, or lack of self-awareness, it radiates as tension. When your energy is flowing through breath, posture, and awareness, it radiates as vitality. People are not consciously analyzing this, yet they feel it. This is why some individuals walk into a room and command attention without saying a word, while others remain unnoticed despite speaking loudly. Energy also reveals intention. If your energy is seeking validation, people feel drained in your presence. If your energy is self-sufficient, people feel nourished. This is why many are drawn to individuals who carry a sense of fullness rather than lack. When you are not chasing approval, your energy becomes a gift instead of a demand. Attraction thrives in this gift because others sense they are free to come closer rather than being pulled against their will. This leads us naturally to the third principle. Emotional discipline is irresistible. In many ways, emotional discipline is the refinement of stillness and energy. It is the ability to feel emotions fully without being ruled by them. Most people misunderstand discipline as suppression, but true discipline is the opposite. It is awareness. It is the recognition of emotions as waves, temporary passing, and not the entirety of who you are. Imagine the ocean. Waves rise and fall, some small, some enormous. The disciplined sailor does not try to stop the waves. They learn to navigate them with skill. Emotional discipline is this navigation. When joy arises, you allow it to be expressed without clinging. When anger arises, you acknowledge it without letting it spill destructively. When sadness arises, you honor it without drowning in it. This mastery of emotional navigation is rare, and precisely because it is rare, it is deeply attractive in relationships. Emotional discipline communicates security. When someone sees that you do not explode impulsively, that you do not collapse into despair at every challenge, and that you do not need constant reassurance to feel whole, they begin to trust you at a deeper level. Trust is the soil in which attraction grows. Without trust, attraction may spark, but it cannot sustain. With trust, attraction deepens into connection. From psychology, this can be explained through attachment theory. People with anxious attachment often pursue desperately, while those with avoidant attachment withdraw. Emotional discipline creates a secure attachment style where you can express your needs clearly without clinging, and you can offer space without disappearing. This balance is what allows attraction to flourish without suffocation. Practically, emotional discipline begins with pause. Before reacting, take a breath. Before sending that message out of insecurity, wait before raising your voice. Ground yourself. These small pauses accumulate into a presence that feels steady and reliable. Over time, this steadiness becomes irresistible because it is rare. Many people are slaves to their impulses. Few demonstrate mastery, and mastery is magnetic. To illustrate, think of a moment when you witnessed someone remain calm in a storm. Perhaps it was a teacher, a leader, or even a friend. Did you not feel drawn to them? Not only because they solved the problem, but because their presence itself gave you courage. This is the same in romantic relationships. A man will chase the woman whose emotions are disciplined, not because she is cold, but because she is warm without being consumed, expressive without being erratic, loving without being needy. Her emotional discipline creates a sense of mystery because she is not predictable in her reactions, but she is consistent in her essence. This balance of depth and steadiness becomes magnetic. Physiologically, emotional discipline has roots in the regulation of the autonomic nervous system. When you experience strong emotions, your body reacts, heart rate increases, breath shortens, muscles tense. Discipline allows you to notice these changes and regulate them. Slow breathing, mindful awareness, and grounding practices all signal to your nervous system that you are safe. Over time, this regulation becomes habitual, and others feel its effect. They sense you are not carried away by the current of every emotion, and this reliability creates attraction stronger than charm. Eastern philosophy reminds us that the one who conquers themselves is greater than the one who conquers 1,000 men in battle. This ancient insight reflects the power of emotional discipline. To master yourself is to embody a strength that no external circumstance can shake. In relationships, this strength becomes deeply appealing. It tells the other person, with me storms will come, but I will not collapse. With me challenges will arise, but I will not abandon myself. With me emotions will flow, but they will not destroy the harmony we build. This is not about perfection. Emotional discipline is not about never being upset, never crying, never raising your voice. It is about awareness and choice. It is about not being possessed by emotions, but allowing emotions to serve growth. This subtle yet powerful distinction transforms how others experience you. They see someone human, real and expressive, but also someone strong-centered and reliable. And so inner stillness opens the door. Energy speaks the truth beyond words. And emotional discipline becomes the irresistible force that sustains attraction. Each principle flows into the next like steps in a continuous path towards self-mastery and deeper connection, shaping the way we invite others, not by demand, but by presence. Self-respect is the foundation of all attraction. Without it, every attempt to create closeness, intimacy, or love collapses like a house built on sand. We often hear people say that respect must be earned. But in truth, respect must first be cultivated from within. A person who does not respect themselves unconsciously teaches others to disregard them. They compromise when they should stand firm. They accept neglect when they should expect care, and they confuse tolerance with love. To respect oneself is to set a standard not through words, but through energy, choices, and boundaries that quietly communicate. This is who I am, and this is how I honor myself. Respect begins in the unseen. It is the way you speak to yourself when no one else is listening. It is the way you hold your body when you walk alone down the street. It is the choices you make about your health, your time, and your values. Even when nobody is watching, people sense this. They may not know the details of your life, but they feel the quality of your relationship with yourself. Someone who disrespects themselves radiates it through subtle signals, apologizing too often for existing, speaking without conviction, staying silent when they long to speak truth. Someone who respects themselves does not need arrogance or pride to display it. Their quiet dignity speaks louder than any performance. In relationships, self-respect becomes magnetic because it creates polarity. Imagine two individuals. One constantly bends to please, fearful that any disagreement will cause abandonment. The other holds a sense of inner worth, able to love, but unwilling to betray their values. Who creates more attraction? The answer is clear. The person who bends too easily may seem accommodating at first, but over time their lack of boundaries suffocates attraction. There is no tension, no depth, no spark. In contrast, the one who carries self-respect creates a sense of mystery and strength. Their partner feels that they must rise to meet them, not lower themselves to dominate them. This rising energy is what people call the chase. Respect is also a language of boundaries. A boundary is not a wall to keep people out, but a door that teaches others how to come in. When you say yes to everything, you disrespect your own needs and desires, and you invite others to do the same. When you say where no is needed, you honor your values and create trust. People feel safer with those who set boundaries because boundaries are signals of integrity. They communicate. I know who I am and I will not betray that for temporary comfort. Such a presence is rare and therefore attractive. Consider how this plays out in daily life. A woman who answers every call immediately, who rearranges her schedule at the slightest request, who tolerates neglectful behavior without addressing it, teaches others that her time and energy have no value. Over time, she will feel invisible and unappreciated. Yet a woman who respects her time, who does not answer calls in the middle of her personal practice, who does not chase when she feels ignored, who calmly addresses mistreatment without fear, teaches others that she is not desperate, She is whole. She is not here to be used, but to be valued. And paradoxically, it is precisely this stance that inspires pursuit. A man may chase beauty, but he commits to respect. The ancient philosopher Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." The essence of this is self-respect, valuing truth over opinion, integrity over approval. In relationships, self-respect manifests as the courage to walk away when your spirit is diminished. Attraction is not maintained by clinging, but by clarity. The one who knows their worth does not beg for attention. And because they do not beg, their presence becomes more valuable. This leads us to the next principle, which deepens the understanding of respect. Stillness is strength. Many mistake stillness for weakness, as if action and reaction are the only measures of power. Yet the greatest power often lies in restraint. Stillness is the ability to hold your ground when the storm arrives, to remain unmoved by every gust of wind, to stay rooted when others are thrown about. This kind of strength does not shout, it whispers. And it is in this whisper that attraction finds its anchor. In moments of conflict, most people react impulsively. Words are hurled, tempers flare, silence turns into punishment. But the person who can remain still amidst this turbulence demonstrates a rare mastery. Stillness communicates confidence. I am not afraid of this moment. It communicates wisdom. I know that every storm passes. It communicates depth. I am more than my impulses. And when someone demonstrates this kind of inner power, others cannot help but lean closer. It is as if they sense a rock in the river, something stable to hold on to amidst the chaos. Real-life examples abound. Think of a leader in crisis who does not panic, but calmly addresses the situation. People instinctively gather around them, not because they have all the answers, but because their presence alone inspires trust. In relationships, the same principle applies. A man may test boundaries consciously or unconsciously to see whether a woman will collapse under pressure. If she reacts with desperation or fury, the dynamic weakens. But if she remains still, calm, clear, unshaken, he feels a strength that both challenges and attracts him. Her stillness says, I will not be moved by every emotion. I am deeper than this surface turbulence. From psychology, this can be explained through self-regulation. Those who regulate their emotions are seen as more competent, trustworthy, and desirable. Stillness is not absence of feeling. It is the art of regulation. The heart may race, the mind may swell, but the body breathes deeply. The voice remains steady, the eyes stay soft. This calm regulation communicates safety and authority simultaneously. Attraction thrives in such soil because it creates both security and excitement. Security because one knows they will not be harmed by reckless words. Excitement because stillness hints at untapped depth beneath the surface. Eastern philosophy compares stillness to the mountain. The mountain does not chase the clouds, nor does it fear the storm. It remains unmoved, and because it remains unmoved, it commands reverence. In relationships, when one embodies the mountain, they stop grasping for control and instead embody presence. This presence says, I am here. I do not need to run after you. I do not need to prove myself. My stillness is my strength. Such energy draws others like rivers flow naturally toward the sea. Stillness also creates mystery. When you react instantly, you reveal everything. When you pause, when you breathe, when you allow silence to stretch, you invite curiosity. The human mind is drawn to what is not immediately known. A person who fills every space with words leaves no room for intrigue. But a person who allows stillness leaves others wondering, what are they thinking? What lies beneath that calm? This curiosity is a form of chase, subtle yet powerful. The physiological dimension of stillness reveals even more. When the body is still, heart rate decreases, cortisol levels lower, and brain waves shift toward balance. Those who are near such a body feel this regulation through co-regulation, the process by which nervous systems sync. In simple terms, if you are still, those around you become still. If you are calm, those around you feel calm. This silent influence is why stillness is strength. It extends beyond you and transforms the environment. In romantic dynamics, this creates a gravitational pull. A man who feels peace in your presence will seek it again and again, often without fully understanding why. From stillness, we move into the next teaching, one that bridges body and mind. Physiology shapes psychology. Many people believe that thoughts create posture, but the reverse is equally true. Posture creates thoughts. The body and mind are not separate. They are a single system where each influences the other. By learning to direct the body, you change the state of the mind, and by extension, you change the way others perceive and respond to you. If you doubt this, try a simple experiment. Stand tall, breathe deeply, lift your gaze and relax your shoulders. Notice how your mind shifts within seconds. You feel more open, more confident, more capable. Now do the opposite. Slump forward. Cross your arms tightly. Lower your head and breathe shallowly. Almost immediately, your thoughts turn negative. Your energy contracts and your sense of possibility diminishes. This demonstrates the profound truth. Physiology is not just a reflection of psychology. It is a driver of it. In relationships, this principle becomes a silent but powerful tool of attraction. A person whose posture is open communicates confidence, not because of words, but because the body itself transmits certainty. A person whose breathing is steady communicates emotional discipline, not because they declare it, but because others feel it in their presence. These signals bypass the conscious mind and register directly in the subconscious of those around you. Attraction operates largely in this subconscious space. Consider the phenomenon of mirroring in psychology. When two people are connected, they unconsciously mirror each other's body language. If one is restless, the other becomes restless. If one is calm, the other begins to settle. This mirroring creates rot, but it also creates hierarchy. The one with the stronger, steadier physiology influences the other. This means that by mastering your body, you are not only mastering yourself, you are influencing the state of those around you. In a relationship, this is profoundly attractive. A man may begin restless, but if your body remains steady, his nervous system entrains to yours. He calms. And because you have become the source of that calm, he associates you with peace, which makes him seek you more. Eastern traditions have long recognized this link. Practices such as Qigong, Tai Chi, and meditation focus on aligning posture, breath, and movement not only for health, but for clarity of mind and strength of spirit. The warrior who stands with rooted feet and upright spine is not only stronger in combat, but stronger in presence. The same principle applies in relationships. Your physiology is the unspoken declaration of your worth. Small changes in physiology can transform interactions. Walking into a room with shoulders relaxed and gaze lifted communicates openness before you even speak. Pausing to take a deep breath before responding communicates discipline without needing to explain. Maintaining eye contact with warmth rather than dogging glances communicates both confidence and care. These cues are read instinctively, and they shape attraction more than any carefully chosen sentence. Modern research supports this. Studies on embodied cognition show that power poses increase feelings of confidence and even alter hormone levels. But beyond temporary poses, the daily habit of mindful physiology reshapes your entire presence. The more you breathe deeply, the more your mind calms. The more you stand upright, the more you think upright thoughts. Over time, this creates a natural magnetism that requires no effort. The beauty of physiology shaping psychology is that it places power back into your hands. You may not control every thought that arises, nor every emotion that surges, but you can control your breath, your posture, your movement. And by controlling the body, you influence the mind. This influence radiates outward, shaping how others feel in your presence and guiding the subtle dynamics of attraction. Self-respect teaches you to honor your worth. Stillness teaches you to hold your ground. Physiology teaches you to embody your inner state in the outer world. Together they weave a fabric of presence that does not need to beg for attention because it naturally commands it. Others are drawn to such presence not out of manipulation, but out of an instinctual recognition. Here is someone who carries themselves with dignity, strength, and alignment. Scarcity creates value. This is not only a principle of economics, but a law of human psychology. What is abundant and always available tends to be overlooked, while what is rare and limited becomes treasured. Think of the difference between ordinary stones scattered on the ground and a diamond locked away in a vault. The diamond's rarity makes it precious. The same principle applies in human relationships. When someone is endlessly available, always at hand, always saying yes, always giving without pause, their presence begins to blend into the background. But when a person carries themselves with balance, offering presence, yet also preserving space, their value grows in the eyes of others. Scarcity does not mean withdrawal, coldness, or playing games. It means cultivating a life so full, so meaningful, and so purposeful that you are not perpetually waiting for someone else to define your worth. When you are constantly available, what you are communicating without realizing it is that you have nothing else in your world demanding your attention. This can create an unspoken imbalance where the other person begins to feel that their time and energy outweigh yours. But when you have your own commitments, your own passions, your own routines, your presence becomes a choice rather than a default, and people value what is chosen far more than what is taken for granted. Think of friendships. The friend who is always at your doorstep the moment you call may be reliable, but if they never seem to have their own direction, their presence can feel heavy. In contrast, the friend who is deeply engaged in their own life, yet makes time for you with sincerity, feels precious. Their presence feels like a gift because it is not diluted by constant availability. In romantic dynamics, the same principle holds true. A man will value the woman who respects her own time, her own growth, and her own pursuits. He learns that her presence is not something to expect without effort, but something to be honored. The danger of misunderstanding scarcity is falling into manipulation. Withholding affection, ignoring messages, or playing mind games may create short-term intrigue, but they damage long-term trust. Scarcity in its true form is not about pretending to be busy. It is about actually being busy with your own growth. It is about living a life of such richness that your presence cannot be consumed endlessly. This natural scarcity creates desire because it is rooted in authenticity. Psychologically, scarcity creates a heightened sense of value because of what researchers call the scarcity heuristic. When something is less available, people perceive it as more desirable. This explains why limited edition items sell quickly, why people line up for rare opportunities, and why relationships often feel more precious when we sense they are not guaranteed. Yet in relationships, the key is not artificial scarcity, but balanced presence. If you are always there, attraction may fade. If you are never there, connection cannot grow. The art lies in balance. Being present enough to nourish the bond, yet scarce enough to remain valuable. Eastern philosophy reflects this in the teaching that emptiness gives value to form. A cup is useful not because of its outer walls, but because of the empty space within. In the same way, the pauses in your availability, the spaces in your presence create value in the relationship. If you fill every moment, you remove the empty space where desire can grow. Space is not absence. It is the fertile ground in which longing is born. This naturally leads us to the next principle. People chase what they feel they might lose. Human beings are wired to value what is not guaranteed. When something feels secure beyond doubt, it is often taken for granted. But when there is a possibility of loss, attention sharpens, appreciation heightens, and effort increases. This is not a flaw in human nature. It is part of our survival instinct. Throughout history, resources that were scarce and uncertain demanded pursuit, while resources that were abundant could be neglected. Relationships follow this same current. Consider a simple example. Imagine two individuals. One gives unconditional attention no matter how they are treated. The other offers care, but also signals through their boundaries that mistreatment will not be tolerated and that neglect will create distance, which one inspires pursuit. The latter, because there is something at stake. The possibility of losing their presence makes the other person value it more deeply. Attraction thrives when it carries this edge of uncertainty, not the insecurity of games, but the natural truth that love cannot be demanded, only chosen. This does not mean manufacturing drama or instability. It means living with dignity. When you carry self-respect, when you embody stillness, when you honor your own value, you naturally communicate that your presence is not guaranteed without effort. If someone takes you for granted, you will not collapse into chasing. They will feel the space you create. And in that space, that they realize what they stand to lose. That realization ignites pursuit more powerfully than any spoken demand. Psychologists refer to this as the principle of loss aversion. People are more motivated to avoid losing something than to gain something new. In relationships, this principle reveals itself in subtle ways. A man may take his partner for granted until she begins to redirect her energy toward her own growth, her own passions, her own self-respect. Suddenly, he feels the potential loss. And it is this feeling that awakens pursuit. Not because she manipulated him, but because she reminded him of her value. Real-life stories illustrate this vividly. A woman who constantly forgives neglect without consequence finds herself ignored more and more. Another woman who expresses care but also makes it clear that repeated neglect will create distance experiences a different response as effort, attention, pursuit. It is not cruelty. It is the natural law of value. When something valuable is at risk, people rise to protect it. Eastern wisdom frames this differently. When you hold water too tightly, it slips through your fingers. But when you cup your hands gently, the water remains. By living with a sense of dignity and allowing space for loss, you do not cling, you create freedom. And paradoxically, freedom inspires closeness. When someone feels free to lose you, they often choose more deeply not to. This connects seamlessly to the next principle. Curiosity is stronger than certainty. The human mind is wired to explore what it does not fully know. When everything about you is explained, exposed, and predictable, interest fades. But when there is a sense of depth not yet discovered, curiosity keeps attraction alive. This is why stories grip us more than explanations, why journeys excite us more than destinations, and why people are drawn not to those who reveal everything instantly, but to those who allow discovery over time. Certainty creates comfort, but it can also create complacency. Curiosity creates engagement because the mind is drawn toward what it cannot fully grasp. In relationships, curiosity is the spark that keeps desire alive. When you reveal everything about yourself too quickly, the mystery evaporates. But when you allow yourself to unfold slowly, layer by layer, you create a dynamic where the other person wants to learn more, see more, understand more. This is not about hiding. It is about pacing. Consider two conversations. In the first, someone pours out their entire life story on the first meeting, leaving no questions unanswered. In the second, someone shares pieces of their story, but leaves space, pauses, and hints of depth not yet revealed. Which conversation do you think inspires more desire to meet again? It is the second because curiosity has been awakened. The human mind cannot resist the urge to complete an unfinished picture. Curiosity also thrives on contrast. If you are always predictable, always reacting the same way, always saying the same things, the mind becomes bored. But when you are balanced yet dynamic, calm, but sometimes playful, serious yet sometimes spontaneous, you create contrast. This contrast keeps curiosity alive because it reveals that there is more to you than meets the eye. Eastern philosophy reminds us that the toil that can be fully explained is not the eternal toil. In the same way, a person who can be fully known at once does not inspire the same depth of connection as one who reveals themselves gradually. Mystery is not deception, it is depth, and depth cannot be rushed. Psychologically, curiosity engages the brain's reward system. The unknown promises discovery, and discovery is rewarding. This is why people are drawn to puzzles, to stories with twists, to journeys without a clear map. In relationships, the same mechanism operates. A man is more likely to chase when he feels that there is more to discover. When your layers are revealed over time, when your energy is not fully predictable, but always authentic. Real-life examples abound. Think of individuals who always seem to have something new to share, a new passion, a new insight, a new perspective. Being with them feels like a continuous journey, never a stagnant routine. This creates lasting attraction because curiosity does not fade. Compare this to someone who reveals everything instantly, has nothing new to explore, and becomes entirely predictable. Interest wanes not because the person is unworthy, but because the human mind thrives on discovery. In relationships, curiosity and safety must walk together. Too much mystery without safety creates anxiety. Too much certainty without curiosity creates boredom. The balance lies in revealing enough to create trust while holding enough depth to inspire pursuit. When someone senses that you are both safe to be with and endlessly interesting to discover, they feel compelled to chase, not out of obligation, but out of genuine desire to know more of you. Scarcity teaches us that space creates value. The possibility of loss reminds us that the effort sustains connection. Curiosity awakens the desire to keep pursuing what cannot be fully known in a single glance. Together, these principles reveal that attraction is not about manipulation, but about living authentically with dignity, balance, and depth. When you embody these truths, you do not need to demand pursuit. It arises naturally because others feel the richness of your presence, the rarity of your energy, and the depth of your being. Consistency of energy builds trust. When people encounter inconsistency, they feel unsafe. They begin to question whether what they are experiencing is real or if it will disappear the moment they lean on it. In attraction, inconsistency may create temporary excitement, but it cannot create lasting pursuit. To sustain desire, there must be an underlying current of reliability. It is not about being monotonous or predictable in every detail, but about carrying a stable essence that others can rely upon. In human relationships, attraction often ignites through novelty, but deepens through trust. If your energy shifts dramatically depending on mood, circumstance, or insecurity, you create uncertainty that erodes connection. One day you are warm and inviting. The next you are distant and cold. One day you are calm and grounded. The next you are reactive and explosive. The inconsistency confuses the nervous system of the other person. And over time, confusion weakens attraction. People crave stability even as they seek excitement. They want to feel that beneath the changes of daily life there is an anchor they can trust. Consider a candle flame. When the flame flickers wildly in the wind, it may look dramatic, but it does not bring warmth or light reliably. When the flame burns steady, even as the wind moves around it, it provides comfort. In relationships, you are that flame. The steadier your energy, the more others trust your presence. And trust is the soil in which attraction grows deeper roots. From psychology, this can be explained through attachment theory. Children who grow up with inconsistent caregivers, sometimes available, sometimes neglectful, develop anxiety in their relationships. They crave closeness but fear abandonment. As adults, this creates cycles of pursuit and withdrawal that feel exhausting. But those who experience consistent care develop secure attachment. And in adult relationships, they attract deeper bonds because their energy does not create confusion. Inconsistency breeds doubt. Consistency builds faith. Yet consistency does not mean sameness. There is a difference between being consistent in essence and repetitive in behavior. Repetition without vitality creates boredom. Consistency in energy means that no matter how playful or serious you are in the moment, people feel the same underlying stability. You may laugh, you may tease, you may challenge, but beneath it all, there is a recognizable current clarity, respect, and reliability. This is what allows the other person to feel safe enough to chase. because they know the pursuit is not a gamble, but a journey worth investing in. Eastern philosophy illustrates this through the concept of the toe as the constant underlying all change. Seasons shift, rivers flow, winds move. Yet there is a steady current beneath it all. In relationships, embodying this constancy means carrying a rooted energy that does not collapse when circumstances change. When someone senses that you are not swayed by every external fluctuation, they begin to trust you at a deeper level. That trust becomes attraction not because of excitement alone, but because of stability wrapped in mystery. This brings us to another essential principle, yin and yang balance. All attraction is born from polarity. Two identical energies do not create a spark. They merge into sameness. Yin and yang are complementary forces. The receptive and the active, the soft and the strong, the gentle and the firm. Neither is superior to the other. Yet the dance creates movement, tension, and vitality. In relationships, understanding this dance is crucial. When both partners embody the same energy excessively, attraction diminishes. For instance, when both become overly passive, the relationship stagnates. When both become overly dominant, the relationship turns into conflict. Attraction thrives when there is balance. When one expresses more yin, the other naturally expresses more yang and vice versa. This is not about rigid roles or stereotypes, but about the natural ebb and flow of complementary energy. Consider how this plays out in daily life. If one partner is deeply expressive and emotional, attraction grows when the other holds steady and provides grounding. If one is firm and structured, attraction grows when the other offers softness and receptivity. Too much sameness collapses polarity. Too much opposition creates division. The art lies in balance, in allowing differences to complement rather than clash. From a psychological perspective, polarity creates tension that fuels attraction. The mind becomes engaged when it encounters contrast. We are drawn to what we are not, to what completes us, to what challenges us in ways we cannot generate alone. This is why relationships often bring together people of different temperaments. The introvert is drawn to the energy of the extrovert. The planner is drawn to the spontaneity of the free spirit. Each brings something the other lacks, and together they create wholeness. Eastern wisdom describes yin and yang as interdependent. Yin contains the seed of yang, and yang contains the seed of yin. They are not enemies, but partners in a dance of balance. In relationships, embodying this means not trying to dominate or erase the other's energy, but allowing it to complement your own. If you are soft, you invite the other to be strong. If you are strong, you invite the other to soften. Attraction arises not from sameness, but from this interplay. A real-life example illustrates this vividly. Imagine a woman who carries strong independence, clarity, and determination. If she encounters a man who tries to out-dominate her at every turn, sparks may fly at first but quickly burn into conflict. If she encounters a man who collapses into passivity, she loses interest. But if she meets a man who balances her strength with calm steadiness, who does not compete but complements, she feels attraction that deepens over time. The same applies in reverse. A man who is deeply focused and firm is often drawn to a woman who embodies fluidity and warmth. Each completes the other without diminishing themselves. This leads to the next principle. The soft controls the hard. It may seem paradoxical, but gentleness often carries more power than force. When confronted with rigidity, force against force creates resistance. But softness flows around hardness, reshaping it without confrontation. Water wears down stone, not through aggression, but through persistence and adaptability. In relationships, gentleness often has greater influence than aggression. Many people believe that to gain respect or pursuit, they must push harder, demand more, or exert control. Yet such force often backfires, creating resistance rather than closeness. When you approach with softness, calm words, gentle boundaries, quiet strength, you bypass resistance and touch the heart directly. Softness disarms while hardness provokes defense. Think of a heated argument. If one person raises their voice, the other often matches it, and the conflict escalates. But if one person remains soft-speaking calmly, the other feels their own energy shift. Softness does not mean weakness. It is controlled strength. It means having the ability to be firm without being harsh, to hold boundaries without hostility, to express care without losing clarity. From psychology, this can be explained through emotional regulation and mirror neurons. When someone is harsh, others mirror that harshness. When someone is soft, others begin to mirror that softness. This is why gentle presence often calms tension faster than force. It is not about avoiding truth, but about expressing it in a way that lowers defenses. In attraction, this quality is magnetic because it creates safety and warmth simultaneously. Eastern philosophy has long recognized this principle. The thought says, nothing in the world is softer than water, yet nothing can overcome it. In relationships, softness is water. It flows, adapts, and yet shapes everything it touches. A person who embodies this softness creates an irresistible pool because they combine strength with approachability. They are firm in their essence, yet gentle in their expression. Real-life examples demonstrate the power of softness. A woman who constantly confronts a man with anger may push him away, even if her feelings are valid. But a woman who expresses her truth with calmness, eye contact, and warmth often inspires a deeper response. He feels safe to open, safe to listen, safe to move closer. The same applies in reverse. A man who approaches with force may gain short-term compliance, but loses long-term attraction. A man who approaches with steadiness and gentleness inspires trust and lasting desire. Softness also creates space for curiosity. When you are hard and demanding, the other person knows exactly what to expect. Resistance. When you are soft, they lean in. They wonder. They feel compelled to explore. Softness holds mystery because it suggests strength under control. This is deeply attractive. People sense that beneath the gentle exterior lies depth and resilience. Consistency of energy creates trust. Yin and yang balance creates polarity. And softness guides the dance without confrontation. These three principles together form a foundation not only for attraction, but for deep, lasting connection. Each flows into the next, each reinforcing the other. And together they remind us that true strength in relationships is not about domination or performance, but about presence, balance, and the art of guiding energy with wisdom. True attraction requires space. Too much closeness without breathing room suffocates the very energy that gives rise to longing. When there is no distance, there is nothing to move toward. When there is no pause, there is no rhythm. This is why learning to allow space in relationships is an essential art. Space does not mean neglect, nor does it mean indifference. It is the recognition that desire needs room to breathe. That connection deepens when it has moments of absence as well as presence. Think of music. Without silence between notes, there would only be noise. The pauses, the spaces give the melody shape and beauty. In relationships, constant presence without intervals of separation often dulls appreciation. But when there is space, physical, emotional, or energetic, the heart remembers, the mind reflects, and attraction has time to regenerate. Many people, when they feel something precious slipping away, try to hold tighter. They call more often, send more messages, demand more reassurance. Yet this grasping creates pressure, and pressure suffocates attraction. The other person begins to feel trapped, not because love has vanished, but because space has been denied. True intimacy flourishes when both closeness and distance are honored. From psychology, this can be explained by the concept of psychological reactance. When people feel their freedom is threatened, they instinctively resist. Too much pursuit, too much control, too much closeness creates the opposite of desire. It creates rebellion. But when there is freedom, when there is space to choose, attraction grows naturally. The freedom to move away is what makes the choice to move closer meaningful. Eastern philosophy illustrates this through the principle of wu-wei, effortless action. It teaches that sometimes the most powerful movement is not pushing or grasping, but allowing. A tree grows by following its own nature. not because someone pulls at its branches. In relationships, allowing space is a form of trust. It communicates, I do not need to control you to keep you. I trust the bond enough to let it breathe. This trust is magnetic because it reflects confidence and self-mastery. A real-life example shows how space creates attraction. Consider two people in the early stages of a relationship. One wants to spend every hour together, to text constantly, to merge their lives immediately. At first, it may feel flattering, but soon the intensity becomes heavy. The other person feels they are losing themselves and attraction wanes. Compare this to someone who enjoys closeness, but also honors independence, who spends time together, but also cultivates their own passions, friendships, and growth. The attraction in this case often grows stronger because there is space for longing to reappear. The second principle is authenticity. Attraction that is built on pretense is fragile. When someone is chased for an image they project, they must constantly maintain that image, fearing it will collapse. But when attraction arises from authenticity, it is resilient. Authenticity means showing up as you are, not exaggerating qualities, not hiding flaws, not performing a role, but expressing the truth of who you are. Many people lose attraction not because they lack qualities, but because they hide themselves behind masks. They try to be more impressive, more agreeable, more mysterious than they naturally are. Yet in time, the truth surfaces and the other person feels deceived. Authenticity is magnetic because it communicates confidence. This is who I am, and I am unafraid to be seen. That confidence creates safety, and safety creates desire. From psychology, authenticity relates to congruence. When your words, actions, and inner state align, others sense coherence. But when you say one thing, feel another, and act differently, still people sense dissonance even if they cannot explain it. This dissonance breeds mistrust, while congruence fosters connection. In attraction, congruence means the energy you carry is believable. You do not pretend to be calm while your body radiates tension. You do not pretend to be confident while your eyes reveal fear. You are aligned, and alignment draws others in. Eastern wisdom often emphasizes self-knowledge as the foundation of authenticity. The more you know yourself, the less you feel compelled to perform for others. A person who has faced their own shadow no longer needs to hide it. A person who has accepted their imperfections no longer needs to mask them. This transparency is deeply attractive because it is rare. Most people live in performance. To encounter someone who lives in authenticity feels refreshing, like stepping into clean air after being in a crowded room. Authenticity also gives rise to selectivity. When you know who you are, you no longer chase approval from everyone. Instead, you resonate with those who align with your truth. This selectivity increases your value. Imagine walking into a room and seeking validation from every person. The energy feels scattered, desperate. Now imagine walking into the same room grounded in your essence, uninterested in impressing anyone, simply being present. That presence becomes magnetic because it is authentic. Real-life stories demonstrate this principle powerfully. A man may pretend to be wealthier than he is to attract admiration. A woman may pretend to be more agreeable than she feels to avoid conflict. In both cases, attraction may arise, but it will be short-lived. When the truth surfaces, trust collapses. Contrast this with someone who admits without shame, this is what I have, this is what I feel, this is who I am. That honesty may not please everyone, but those who are drawn will be drawn deeply because they are attracted to the real essence, not the mask. This leads naturally to the next principle, mystery. Mystery is not deception, nor is it about withholding truth for manipulation. Mystery is the recognition that depth cannot be revealed all at once. Just as a book cannot be understood by reading only the first chapter, a person cannot be known entirely in the first encounter. Mystery invites curiosity, and curiosity sustains attraction. In modern life, many reveal too much too soon. In the desire to be accepted, they pour out every detail of their past, every secret of their heart, every corner of their mind. While honesty is essential, overwhelming disclosure eliminates the natural rhythm of discovery. Attraction thrives when there is room for exploration, when each meeting reveals something new. Mystery is not about hiding who you are, but about unfolding at a pace that invites the other to stay engaged. Psychologically, mystery stimulates the reward system of the brain. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter of motivation, spikes when there is uncertainty, when there is something yet to be discovered. If everything is known immediately, the brain loses excitement, but when revelation is gradual, curiosity keeps engagement alive. This is why games, stories, and journeys are compelling. They reveal themselves step by step, never all at once. In relationships, this means leaving space for curiosity. Eastern philosophy reflects this principle in the metaphor of the moon behind clouds. Sometimes the beauty lies not in seeing the whole moon clearly, but in the way it appears and disappears, revealing itself slowly through shifting veils. In the same way, a person who embodies mystery does not perform or conceal, but allows their depth to unfold naturally. This unfolding keeps the other attentive, wondering what will be revealed next. Mystery also requires self-discipline. It means resisting the urge to overexplain, to overshare, to seek immediate validation. It is trusting that depth cannot be rushed. Just as a tree reveals its growth in seasons, not days, you reveal yourself in time. This patience makes the other person feel that being with you is a journey, not a destination to be reached at once. Practical examples illustrate this well. Imagine meeting someone who tells you everything about themselves in the first hour. Every detail of their history, every opinion, every thought. There is no space left to wonder, no discovery left to unfold. Now imagine someone who shares sincerely but gradually. Each conversation reveals something new. Each encounter deepens the understanding. That gradual unfolding creates an experience of pursuit because the other person feels there is more to discover and they lean in with curiosity. Mystery also intertwines with authenticity. True mystery does not come from creating artificial masks, but from embodying genuine depth. Shallow people may attempt to create mystery by withholding, but there is nothing to discover beneath the surface. Authentic depth, however, naturally creates these mystery because no person can be fully known immediately. When you are authentic and deep, you naturally reveal layers over time without manipulation. Space, authenticity, and mystery form a try of attraction that sustains pursuit. Space allows longing to breathe. Authenticity ensures that what is pursued is real and lasting. Mystery keeps curiosity alive, ensuring the journey never becomes stagnant. Each principle enhances the other. Too much space without authenticity feels like distance. Authenticity without mystery feels flat. Mystery without authenticity feels manipulative. But together they create a dynamic energy that compels pursuit in a natural, sustainable way. The principle of emotional discipline cannot be separated from the art of connection. To lack discipline over one's emotions is to hand over the steering wheel of one's life to impulses, reactions, and momentary feelings. Yet, relationships are not sustained by momentary feelings. They are nurtured by the ability to respond wisely, to remain balanced, and to communicate with clarity even when storms arise. Attraction, no matter how strong, cannot endure if emotional chaos becomes the norm. A man may feel initial excitement in pursuing someone, but if every interaction is filled with volatility, constant tests, or uncontrolled outbursts, his desire will quickly be replaced by exhaustion. Emotional discipline does not mean suppression. It does not mean pretending not to feel or denying anger, sadness, jealousy, or fear. It means developing the capacity to observe emotions, to give them space, and to choose a response that reflects wisdom rather than compulsion. In psychology, this is often referred to as emotional regulation, and it is closely tied to resilience, trust building, and relational satisfaction. A person who can remain calm in conflict radiates strength. A person who can acknowledge hurt without attacking creates safety. A person who can channel strong emotions into constructive expression cultivates respect. Consider a simple example. Two people are in a disagreement. One immediately raises their voice, unleashes accusations, and floods the space with emotional intensity. The other feels cornered and retreats, not because they no longer care, but because they no longer feel safe. Now imagine the same disagreement, but instead of reacting impulsively, one person takes a breath, pauses, and speaks with clarity. I feel hurt by what happened, and I want us to find a way to resolve it. The difference is profound. In the first scenario, chaos repels. In the second, discipline invites closeness. Eastern traditions often teach that the true warrior is not the one who conquers others, but the one who conquers themselves. Emotional discipline is a form of self-mastery. To remain calm when provoked is strength. To remain open when disappointed is wisdom. To remain present when tempted to withdraw is maturity. In relationships, this strength becomes profoundly attractive because it communicates reliability. A man who feels that a woman cannot hold her own emotions without projecting them onto him will eventually step back. But when he sees that she can face emotions with grace, he feels drawn to her stability because stability in the face of emotional intensity is rare and deeply valued. Emotional discipline also fosters intimacy. When emotions are chaotic, conversations revolve around survival. Who is right? Who is wrong? Who is winning? Who is losing? But when emotions are disciplined, conversations shift toward understanding. What do you need? What do I feel? How can we move forward? The absence of discipline blocks connection. The presence of discipline makes connection inevitable. From neuroscience, we know that emotional regulation activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for reasoning, empathy, and decision-making. In contrast, emotional reactivity is dominated by the amygdala, which is designed for survival, but not for sustained connection. Attraction that comes from the amygdala is short-lived, intense, dramatic, and unstable. Attraction that is filtered through emotional discipline is sustainable, calm, deep, and resilient. The next principle is personal growth. Relationships do not thrive when people stop growing. A relationship is not a static arrangement, but a dynamic flow of two evolving lives. When one person continues to grow while the other remains stagnant, tension arises. Growth is attractive because it signals vitality. A stagnant person may seem comfortable at first, but comfort without growth quickly becomes complacency, and complacency suffocates attraction. Personal growth encompasses many layers: intellectual, emotional, spiritual, and physical. It does not mean striving endlessly or chasing perfection. It means continuing to expand, to learn, to refine, to evolve. A person who reads, learns, and deepens their understanding of the world becomes more engaging. A person who tends to their health, energy, and physical vitality radiates vitality that others can feel. A person who pursues inner growth, who works through their wounds and strengthens their character, becomes magnetic. Growth is visible not because it is flaunted, but because it naturally changes the way a person carries themselves. There is a saying, if you are not growing, you are dying. In relationships, this is profoundly true. Stagnation drains energy, growth renews it. Imagine someone who enters a relationship with dreams, ambitions, and energy, but over time lets everything fade. They no longer pursue passions. They no longer challenge themselves. They no longer evolve. The partner begins to feel that the relationship has become heavy, like carrying dead weight. Now imagine someone who continues to learn, explore, and expands. Being with them feels like joining a journey rather than settling into stagnation. That journey is what sustains pursuit because it offers an unfolding story. In Eastern philosophy, growth is often compared to the unfolding of a lotus. The lotus does not open all at once, nor does it remain closed forever. It unfolds steadily in rhythm with the seasons. Each stage reveals more beauty, yet the flower never rushes. In the same way, personal growth is not about sudden transformation, but about steady unfolding. This unfolding keeps attraction alive because there is always more to discover. Psychology affirms this through the concept of self-expansion theory. Research shows that relationships are strengthened when partners feel they are expanding their sense of self through the relationship. If being with you makes a man feel he is growing emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, he will feel compelled to stay close. If being with you makes him feel stagnant, he will unconsciously pull away. Attraction is not only about who you are, but about how being with you shapes who he becomes. Practical examples highlight this clearly. A woman who invests in her passions, who explores her creativity, who continues to cultivate her body and mind, naturally radiates energy that inspires. A man who witnesses this feels energized himself. He chases not just the woman, but the vitality she embodies. Contrast this with someone who abandons growth in the name of comfort, who no longer challenges herself, who no longer nourishes her spirit. Attraction in this case with us, not because love is gone, but because life force has dimmed. Growth is life force. To grow is to be alive, and aliveness is irresistible. The final principle is inner fulfillment. Perhaps the deepest truth of attraction is this: no one can chase you with passion if you are chasing emptiness within yourself. When your heart is filled with lack, you seek to fill it through others. You demand validation, attention, and energy as though they are oxygen. At first, someone may provide this, but over time, the burden becomes heavy. No man can endlessly supply what you refuse to cultivate within yourself. True attraction does not come from need, but from overflow. Inner fulfillment means discovering wholeness within yourself. It means realizing that you are complete as you are, that your worth does not depend on external validation, that love is not something you must grasp, but something you already embody. When you are fulfilled within, your energy radiates outward. You no longer cling to others for security because security is already rooted inside you. This self-sufficiency is not coldness but warmth. It frees you to give love without fear, to receive love without desperation, and to remain calm when others come and go. In psychology, this aligns with the concept of secure attachment. Securely attached individuals attract healthier partners and relationships because they do not all operate from fear of abandonment or fear of engulfment. They know how to be alone without loneliness and how to be together without losing themselves. This balance is profoundly attractive because it communicates both strength and openness. Eastern wisdom speaks of inner fulfillment as stillness. A lake that is calm reflects the sky clearly. A lake that is restless cannot reflect anything. In the same way, a person who has not cultivated inner fulfillment projects restlessness, neediness, and insecurity. But a person who has cultivated stillness within reflects love, presence, and depth. That stillness is what draws others because it feels like home. Real-life examples make this clear. A woman who feels empty seeks constant reassurance. Do you still love me? Are you still interested? Why didn't you call? Why didn't you answer quickly? Each demand reveals the emptiness within. At first, a man may respond with patience, but eventually the weight of that emptiness drives him away. Now, imagine a woman who feels fulfilled within. She enjoys time alone. She nurtures her passions. She carries an aura of contentment. When a man comes into her life, he feels he is joining abundance, not patching emptiness. That abundance draws him in not because he is needed, but because he is inspired. Inner fulfillment also liberates relationships from dependency. When you depend on someone else to make you happy, you place a burden on them that no one can carry consistently. But when you are fulfilled within, you share joy rather than demand it. You bring energy rather than drain it. Attraction thrives in this environment because love feels like a gift, not an obligation. The philosopher Rumi once wrote, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it." Inner fulfillment is the dissolving of those barriers. When you find peace within, you no longer chase love desperately. Love chases you because wholeness is magnetic. People are drawn to those who radiate completeness, because completeness is rare in a world that thrives on insecurity. Thus, emotional discipline, personal growth, and inner fulfillment are not separate threads, but parts of one fabric. Emotional discipline gives stability. Personal growth provides vitality, and inner fulfillment radiates abundance. Together, they form a foundation upon which attraction is not only sparked but sustained. When you embody these principles, you no longer need to ask how to make someone chase you. The chase becomes inevitable, not because you manipulate, but because you embody qualities that every heart longs to follow. When we look closely, we realize that the question was never about how to make someone chase you. It has always been about how to live in such a way that connection, respect, and desire naturally follow. What creates longing is not performance, tricks, or strategies, but the quiet strength of emotional discipline, the vibrant energy of continuous growth, and the unshakable peace of inner fulfillment. To embody these principles is to understand that attraction is not something forced, it is something allowed. Just as flowers do not chase the bees, yet still attract them by blooming fully, so too do we invite authentic love when we dare to stand in our wholeness, when we dare to cultivate our energy, when we dare to live with presence rather than absence. The chase then is not about making someone move toward you out of compulsion, but about becoming so deeply aligned with your own essence that they cannot help but feel drawn. A person who radiates balance inspires trust. A person who continues to grow awakens curiosity. A person who feels fulfilled within invites closeness without demand. This is the art of true connection, not a game of pursuit, but a dance of presence. The more we master ourselves, the more we attract what reflects that mastery. The more we discipline our emotions, the more safety we create. The more we grow, the more vitality we share. The more fulfilled we are, the more abundance we bring into every relationship. So let the question shift. Instead of asking, how do I make someone chase me? Ask, how do I live in such a way that love cannot help but find me? The answer lies not outside, but within. When you embody peace, growth, and discipline, you no longer need to chase or be chased. You become the very center where authentic connection begins.